You're watching Power Nation.
Welcome to trucks. You know, one thing I've been getting a lot of requests for lately is a really cool build-up on a Dodge. And that is a valid request because these things have a ton of potential. But I'm not talking about a brand new Dodge. Why? Well, because number one, any new truck is really expensive. And number two, most people don't want to mess with a new truck because they're afraid of voiding their warranty. So picking up something that's a few years old, like this 99 short bed four-wheel drive, is a smart way to go. Now, the reason is you can still get these in really good shape. They're tough, they're reliable. This is by far the most popular body style that Dodge has ever done, and they're affordable. Yeah, pretty much the perfect project vehicle. And trust me, when we get done tweaking on this thing, it's still going to be cheaper and a lot cooler than anything you're going to find on a showroom floor. Okay, the direction for this build-up. Now, most of you know that years ago, Dodge made pretty much the ultimate hardcore off-road truck. It was called the Power Wagon. It was tough, rugged, almost indestructible, and slow. You could almost outrun one on a good day. Now, in the 70s, Dodge went another direction. They came out with the Lil Red Express. This was a two-wheel drive street truck that, according to the magazines of the day, was the fastest production vehicle at the time. But it wasn't much for towing or hauling or working. Well, what we're going to do is something that Dodge, Chevy, Ford, none of those guys have thought to do. We're going to take the awesome off-road ability of the Power Wagon and combine it with the street performance of the Lil Red Express, and we are going to build a vehicle called the Lil Red Wagon. Well, you know, for grown-ups. Okay, the first thing that we're going to deal with on this project is a performance. Now, this truck has a 5.2-liter V8, strong, healthy, just not strong enough. So we're going to help it out with a supercharger from ATI ProCharger. Now, you can see this kit is complete. It's got all the hoses, all the tubing. The tubing is powder coated. All the aluminum is polished. You've got all your bracketry, all your hardware, an auxiliary fuel system, even the bracket to mount everything in. Now, what makes this kit really unique, though, is you have a belt-driven, polished centrifugal supercharger and an intercooler. Now, real quick, a supercharger is basically an air compressor. It compresses air and that builds boost. That's good. It also builds heat. That is bad. So that hot blast of air comes out, goes through the intercooler, and it's cooled back down. That gives you a cool, dense blast of air, and that's where you get your power. So if you want the most power you can get out of your supercharger, you really need to intercool it. First, we're going to get rid of all the stock air intake system. And install the new intake hat. Then modify the PCV hose. Next, we need to make room for that supercharger, which means off comes the factory belt and tensioner. Here you go, Mo. Now we are ready to start putting on the good stuff. And you don't want to do that on an old nasty engine. So after a little bit of cleanup and some paint, we're going to start by putting on this bracket. And it just bolts in place where the stock tensioner went. Now, of course, this holds your supercharger. You got a new tensioner and adjustment, and that's all nice. But what's really unique are the little details. Notice you have a hose clamp here to hold this air conditioning line out of the way. You have hardware to remount your coil down in between these brackets. Now, it's these kind of details that make this kit a really nice install. The ProCharger is a centrifugal supercharger, and it's probably the easiest part of this install because it just bolts onto the bracketry that we put on earlier. All right, I have all the hoses and tubing assembled, ready to be set into place, but first, I got something I want to show you. This is called a surge valve, and what it does is release pressure. For example, you're driving down the road, you got your foot buried in it, you're building lots of boost, right? Well, as soon as you take your foot off the gas, those throttle plates close and all that boost has nowhere to go. That's where this thing comes in. It opens, and it allows that pressure to be channeled back into the intake tube before the supercharger so it can be used again. Without something like this, something's going to blow, and that's never a good thing. Unless, of course, it's somebody else's truck, and then it's awesome. The intercooler is the next piece to go on, and it mounts under the front of the truck, behind the bumper, between the frame rails, up here underneath the radiator. Now to put it on, you have mounting brackets. This one bolts to an existing hole. This one, you just have to drill one hole. With your intercooler in place, just hook up the rest of your tubing. Now make sure that you check and double check that your clamps are tight, because if they're not, you're going to find out real quick when you start this thing up. The last thing we're going to put on is this auxiliary fuel system. Now before you go, oh no, you mean I have to take the gas tank down? No, it's a lot easier than that. You can relax. This is a supplemental fuel pump that works in conjunction with your stock fuel pump to give you the extra fuel that you're going to need. Now it just mounts inside the inner frame rail using the supplied bracketry and hardware, and then it just plugs into your stock fuel line. Now this little guy here is an electronic fuel management unit. This controls the amount of fuel that comes out of this pump. This mounts inside the cab, and the cool thing is it is completely adjustable. So you can really fine-tune your air-fuel ratio, make that engine run the way it's supposed to. Well, we're breathing some new life into this late model Dodge. Now the supercharger's on, the intercooler's in place, we've got some serious air blowing into this thing. Now we need to get some air blowing out. That means headers. Come on. This is a set of stainless steel shorty headers that we got from JBA. Now you add these to a supercharger, you better hold on. They've got everything that you would expect from a quality set of headers. Nice mandrel bends, thick flanges, high temperature coating. The best part is though, is you can bolt these on and still use your stock exhaust system. Of course, we're not going to do that, but you could if you wanted to. Now, while we're at it, we also got these power cables from JBA. This will make sure we have plenty of fire flow into that engine too. All right, with the new headers on and the plug wires in place, we're pretty much done under the hood. But what about that hood? We're not going to leave that old nasty stock hood on there, are we? No, come on. Now, I wanted something that was cool and had some style because the Lil Red Express had some style. That meant a call to Keystone Restyling Products for one of their good hoods. Now, the first thing that really grabs you about this hood is that big AAR CUDA style scoop blended right into the center. Yeah, you Mopar guys know what I'm talking about. Now, this scoop is fully functional. Air goes in here, goes down into the air box, and then into your stock air inlet. The hood is also fiberglass, fully finished top and on the back side, so it's going to look good when you open the hood. And putting it in is just utilizing your stock hinges, latches, grill. All you have to do is get this thing painted and put it on. And putting it on goes like that. Okay, maybe not quite that quick, but installing a Keystone hood is one of the easiest installs that you'll do. And the difference it makes in the look of your truck, that is huge. Look at that. That is just cool. All right, back to the exhaust system. Now, the Lil Red Express had a very unique exhaust system. It had dual stacks that ran it behind the cab. So, I wanted something unique for the Lil Red Wagon, but we can't use stacks, so it wouldn't look right. But what we can use are these polished stainless steel tips from Style & Concepts. Now, these are made to go right through the body of the rig, and they're designed to where this outer shell doesn't get hot, so you're not going to buckle your paint. Now, I know a lot of you guys are thinking, now wait a minute, if you're going to bring them through the body, that means you need to cut. Yeah, that's right. We are going to cut 2 great big holes right in the side of the bed, one on each side. And trust me, it's going to look really cool. Then just bolt in the tip, and that's it. Now, not only does this look really good, but it's different. You're not going to see this on just every truck running down the road, and that's cool. It also really cleans up the back of this truck because now I can get rid of these pipes that are hanging down underneath. Now, the purpose of this buildup is to show you how to build a nice, well-rounded, dual-purpose truck. Something that's tough, that you can take to work and go hunting with and go four-wheeling with, like an old Power Wagon, but at the same time, still look good and be a real tire smoker on the street, like the old Lil Red Express. As cool as that concept is, though, you can't go out and buy a truck like that. Nope. You have got to build it, and that is what we're showing you. Last week, when we introduced this project, we dealt with the performance part of it. Put on a supercharger and a hood and headers and brought the exhaust out through the sides of the bed. Today, we're going to deal with the off-road part. We got a lot of cool stuff to show you. So, let's dig into the suspension, get this thing up in the air. The kit we're going to be using comes from Skyjacker, and it's going to pick that Dodge up 5 inches, which is perfect because it's going to look good, but it's not too much to where we can't still use the truck. Now, for the rear, we got new leaf springs and hardware. For the front, we have great big coil springs, new upper and lower links, urethane bushings at one end, big old Heim joints at the other for nice flex. And we have a whole pile of shocks because we're going dual shocks on the front, a dual steering stabilizer, and of course all the bracketry and hardware to put it in. Now notice there's not a lot here on this table. This kit goes in pretty easy. But one thing that we got that is not included in the kit is this transfer case indexing ring. Now because I've got so much power into that hood, I wanted to relieve the angle of that front drive line a little bit. This ring allows you to clock the transfer case down just a little bit and relieve that angle. Now you don't have to put this on to a 5-inch lift, but because of that application, it's a pretty wise thing to do. First, we need to put the truck on a diet by getting rid of a bunch of unwanted parts like wheels and tires. Then, dig in with both hands. Now the track bar and the drag link and the sway bar, those are all going to be reused. So for now, we'll just pop them loose and let them hang. The next pieces to go in the junk wagon are, well, pretty much everything. If it can be unbolted, it probably needs to come off. Once everything is all disassembled, it's time to start putting on the new Skyjacker stuff. Now, the new lower links just go into the stock location. The upper links bolt to the new relocation brackets. At this point, it's just a matter of putting in the new coil springs, followed by the shocks, And then the track bar location is lowered with a big, beefy bracket to retain proper alignment and to keep the truck from wandering all over the road. Then we'll replace the stock pitman arm with the new skyjacker unit. Reconnect the track bar and install the drop brackets for the sway bar. We'll follow that by hooking everything back up, putting on the dual stabilizers, and before you know it, your truck has a new suspension under it, just 5 inches taller and a lot tougher. Okay, to get the rear up in the air, that's pretty much a matter of just bolting in these new shocks and springs in place of the stockers. Now, I've shown you that process many times, so you know how to do that. Instead, while we're still up here on the front, I want to address an issue that always comes up anytime you're building this kind of truck: brakes. You did think about your brakes, didn't you? I mean, you got more power going under the hood, and obviously bigger tires are going on. You need better brakes. Here they are. This kit is from Stainless Steel Brake Corporation, and it's a direct replacement for what came stock on the front of that old Dodge. Now, the kit is very simple. You get new slotted rotors, calipers, and of course pads. Now, if you need more braking than this, you can also get a rear disc brake conversion kit from Stainless Steel Brakes. It includes the rotors, the calipers, the bracketry, the hardware, everything that you're going to need to convert from your stock drum brakes to rear discs. Yeah, this is a cool kit. Now, to install both of these is very simple. All you do is pull off the old components, bolt on this new stuff, bleed the system, and you're done. Now, it's time to finally put on some wheels and tires. All right, tires. Since this is a dual-purpose rig, we need a dual-purpose tire. For those, we went to Toyo and got this new tire called the Open Country AT. Now, the size we're using is 35 inches tall, 12.5 inches wide, and we're putting it on a 17-inch rim, which is going to look really nice with that 5-inch lift. Now, the tread is nice and aggressive. You can see you've got a lot of siping cut into the tread. That's going to give us a lot of traction when things get wet and slippery. But this is not so aggressive to where it's going to howl like an old dog when you're going down the highway. Matter of fact, these are really quiet on the road, which makes this the perfect tire for that kind of truck. For wheels, we made a call to Weld Racing and got what they call the Dune 5. Now, as you can see, this is an upgraded version of a 5-spoke. It's got simulated rivets around the inside as well as the outer rim, so it's got a nice rugged look. The thing is fully polished, so it's going to look awesome on the street. But Weld wheels are also famous for their strength because they're forged, which means this is incredibly strong for any kind of hardcore use. So once again, you got the best of both worlds here. Okay, it looks really good so far, but what is missing? Well, for a heavy-duty off-road truck, the Power Wagon had a huge winch and bumper on the front. And if you use your truck, having a heavy-duty bumper is more than just for looks. It is a tool, and I've got something to show you. Now that is an awesome-looking bumper. Now, this comes from a place called Buck Stop Truckware, and this is a serious piece of work. It is made out of 1/4-inch steel. All the welds are smoothed down. Everything is powder coated. This is a nice looking bumper. Now look at this. You have holes here for a 6-inch off-road light. You have access panels like your stock bumper had. Of course, this is for your fair lead roller where your winch comes through. You got a receiver hitch built right into the bottom. And then you have an access panel up here so you can get down and work on your winch. Now the winch mounts back here inside, tucks out of the way so you don't even see it. Now to mount one of these on the truck, you have huge mounting brackets, bolt right to the frame, and you have mounting points built right into the bumper. Now the rear bumper is just as nice. Once again, made out of 1/4-inch steel, all smoothed down. You have pockets here for 4-inch off-road lights. Then you have some diamond plate on top so where you can stand on it. Now the best part about these bumpers though, they're a direct bolt-in replacement for what came stock on your truck. And it doesn't get much more heavy duty than this. The winch we're going to be using is this Ramsey Patriot 12,000, which means this is a 12,000 pound winch. That gives us plenty of power to pull out a full-size rig. But the mounting points are still the same as the smaller 9,000 pound winch, which means this will fit just about any winch bumper. Now, with Ramsey, you got some choices here. You can go with the standard style remote, or you can use the wireless remote if you don't want to have to dink with this cable. This is a pretty slick setup. Now, another thing that it's a good idea to get is an accessory package, because you got the tree strap and snatch block and all this other stuff. Every time you need that winch, you're going to need some of this stuff. And the winch doesn't do you any good if you can't hook it up to anything. Okay, lights. We made a call to KC Highlights, and for that front bumper, we got these 6-inch slimline driving lights. Now, you can use these things with a stone guard or without. We're going to use them without because this way they're going to fit that front bumper perfectly. Now for the rear, we got these 4-inch KC 50 series off-road lights. Once again, these are going to bolt right into that rear bumper and peek right out that opening. Now, both of these sets of lights feature 100-watt H3 halogen bulbs, so we're going to have plenty of lighting in front and at the rear. Now, both kits come with all the wiring, relays, harnesses, everything you're going to need to hook this stuff up and make it work, which is exactly what we're going to do now. We're going to put all this stuff into those bumpers. Okay, who lets go first? Well, there it is. All 310 pounds of it. You can't tell me that that is not awesome. Now, obviously, we have added some serious weight to the front of this thing and some serious power under the hood. And in doing so, we have created a weak point in this truck. And I want to talk to you a little bit about that before we go today, and it's the clutch. We are going to solve our clutch problems with this dual friction clutch from Centerforce. Now, they call this dual friction because the clutch disc has 2 different styles of friction material on it. One for smooth engagement, one for holding capacity. Now, to go with that, we got their high-performance pressure plate and throwout bearing. Trust me, this will handle whatever you want to throw at it. If you're not familiar with this project or you missed some of it, let me bring you up to date a little bit. The idea here was to build a dual-purpose, well-rounded truck, something that you're not afraid to take to work or to go four-wheeling with, like an old Dodge Power Wagon. But at the same time, needs to be reliable and comfortable and powerful and look good on the street, like the old Lil Red Express. Now, you put all these ingredients together, you've got yourself a Lil Red Wagon. Now, so far, we've put on a supercharger, tucked it under a custom hood, bolted on 5 inches of lift and 35-inch tall tires, slid on massive bumpers and winch, and finally massaged the exhaust out through the side of the bed. Now we're going to turn our attention to the interior. As you can see, this original interior is pretty basic. No carpet, just floor mat, cloth seats, and some sort of funky smell. Typical project vehicle. So the first thing we're going to do is get rid of these seats and that smell. Oh yeah, there's that smell. This is still wet. Oh yeah. Okay, to make that truck a little more comfortable, we went to Styling Concepts, and here's what we got. A molded carpet to go where there was none before. Now, not only is this custom built to fit our floor pan perfectly, it's also got the jute padding glued right on, so you get good soundproofing. And then to protect that carpet, we got these floor mats with the Lil Red Wagon logo stitched right in. For seats, we also went to Styling Concepts and got these leather C5 truck seats. Now, not only do they look like a Corvette seat, which is really cool, but they'll also fit just about any rig because they come with a mounting bracket for your particular truck. Now, they also have a matching center console for seating a third person or hiding your junk or holding a drink or two. Okay, if the old carpet or pad came out in good shape, it's a good idea to use it as a pattern to mark your initial cuts on the new carpet. This will at least get you in the ballpark when you go to drop it in the first time. Since this carpet is pre-molded, it should pretty much drop right into place. But be prepared to spend some time trimming and fitting and gluing to get the wrinkles out and make it look good. Don't be in a hurry here. All right, while I'm in here, I might as well do something about a shifter. And for that, we went to Hurst, got this Competition Plus shifter for that 5-speed tranny. And what this will do is give us shorter throw and firmer shifts. But as cool as that handle is, not gonna use it because this is the Lil Red Wagon. Obviously, we're building a lot of Mopar history into this truck. So it's only fitting for a handle that I use an icon from Mopar history, the pistol grip shifter. These little guys are made by Hurst. You can get them from year one, and they are exact reproductions of what came factory on your favorite Mopar muscle car. I mean, these are right on the money, from the offset, to the chrome, to the Hurst word, to the simulated wood handle, to the shift pattern in the top. Man, these are awesome. So if you've got a truck, and you got a stick in it, and you want to give it a dose of attitude, there is a pistol grip handle that you can make fit it. Even if it takes some fabrication, it's worth it. Man, that looked good as a transfer case shifter. Yeah. Oh yeah, that is cool. Now to position the handle, mock a seat into place and get in it. That way you can see how everything's gonna line up. Now notice this handle is a little far away from the driver. It's a little close to the dash, but it's not bad considering it's out of a 70 Roadrunner and this is a 99 truck. So what I'm gonna do is modify the base here so it sits a little further back, a little more toward the driver, right about here.
First, we'll cut the base off the handle. Then, by grinding an angle into the base piece, we'll be able to tilt and adjust the handle to the exact position we want it. Now, be prepared to do a lot of trial fitting here to get it right. Now, once it is right, just weld the two pieces back together. Now, I'm using a TIG welder here because it is so nice and precise, but a MIG will work good too.
Oh yeah, now that is where it should be. Look at this, we're right off the steering wheel onto the shifter. Boom, boom. This is neutral, first, second, third, fourth, fifth, and reverse. And look how tight that throw is. That is awesome. Now, we still have some room here for somebody's legs, very small legs, but there is room here. And I also did the modifications so low to where all that's gonna be covered up by the boot, which will come up to about here. Now all we have to do now is actually bolt these seats in, put it all back together.
All right, we're getting close, but there's one last thing that I still want to do. Remember that the Lil Red Express had the logo on the door. Yeah, so it's only fitting that we put the Lil Red Wagon on the side of this rig. For that, I made a call to Jason Bliss at Bliss Custom Automotive Artwork, and this is what we came up with. The Lil Red Wagon that we all wish we had. You got a wagon sitting on 44s with a Hemi engine. Man, something like this will definitely give your rig some identity. And it's also printed on a high-quality automotive-grade vinyl. So once we put this on, it's going to be on there for a while. If you're in need of some automotive artwork, from a serious rendering to something crazy like this, give Jason a call. He can help you out. Okay, to put on a vinyl graphic, squirt on a nice heavy layer of soapy water. Then set the decal in place and square it up. Now the soapy water will let you move the decal around until it's perfect. Now, once you've got it right and you're sure, then just squeegee out the water and bubbles and that's it. She's on and ready to go. Out on the road, the Lil Red Wagon is one cool looking truck. This thing is definitely an eye catcher because it's so light. The 5 inches of lift and 35-inch tall tires give it the perfect stance, making it bigger and much more aggressive than a stock truck. But not so big as to where you can't use it every day, or have to be concerned about getting sacked for violating bumper laws. When you go off-road, this thing takes on a whole different personality, with the suspension giving you plenty of articulation and movement for when things get rough, and of course the extra clearance is always a good thing. The stock gearing was fine. However, I definitely need to install a couple of lockers into the axles to get better traction. Of course, the thing that really separates this from just your average everyday lifted truck are the little things, like those massive, awesome bumpers hanging off the ends. Seeing this thing roll up behind you and hearing the whine of that supercharger will definitely get your attention. And just try to do this with a stock front bumper. Or this with a stock rear bumper. Come on, I dare you. Now, about that supercharger. That's what takes this rig from being just a typical off-road rig to a runner too. Even with the extra weight of the bumpers, winch, and tires, this thing will flat get with the program, especially if you knock it into 4-wheel drive for extra traction. And let me tell you, banging the gears through that pistol grip shifter is so much fun it should be illegal. Now this stock NV3550 5-speed tranny is good, but it's not that good. And if you're going to take the thing out and drag race it and flog it, well, you're going to blow it all to pieces. But if you drive it sensibly, use it when you need it, well, it should last you a long time. Of course, saying that and doing that, that's two different things. So if you're going to flog it, you may want to look into a Richmond or a trimming. The only drawback to running the ATI Pro Charger on an off-road truck is the intercooler is in a very vulnerable position in front. I'll definitely have to build a cage around it to protect it from bashing it on the rocks or running a stick up through it. Well, there you have it. The Lil Red Wagon. And hopefully this makes you want to go out and build a Lil Red Wagon of your own. Show me what you got.